Conor Benn signs for Dana White and Zuffa Boxing, going against Eddie Hearn, who supported him throughout most of his career, and especially recently, massively. And we're going to go straight into it, look at both sides of the story, both sides of the reasons for this happening, and getting straight into it, really. So, key facts: Conor Benn signs for Dana White and Zuffa Boxing. Not clear on how long this deal is for. Apparently, someone's come out saying it's a one-fight deal, but looking at how massive this has become and how Eddie's reacting is, especially, I don't believe it. It may probably isn't a one-fight deal, or look, this probably it may be a one-fight deal that's been confirmed, but likelihood is there'll be future deals, I would guess, even if it is. And look, this is a key moment. Conor Benn is one of Eddie and Matchroom's key stars at current, and one of their future stars. A couple of their stars that you think about, AJ, he'll be retired sooner rather than later. Katie Taylor has got one fight maybe in there. I don't see her doing more than one fight. And you start looking around, actually, Conor Benn's one of the future ones, really. And Ben Whittaker is, of course, but Ben Whittaker is very much a future star, whereas Conor can sell out stadiums and can be a world champion things, but he's I think that their top star who will be fighting beyond 3 fights at current. So a big blow for Matchroom Boxing. And look, going in from an Eddie perspective, he's helped this guy through 2 failed drug tests that happened when all the world was against Conor Benn. He defended him on interviews for 2 years. When Conor wasn't really coming out onto interviews or anything, he was in the background, in the shadows, behind the face that was Eddie Hearn, saying that I believe him, I trust that he didn't do it, etc., etc. He got so much stick for standing with Conor Benn, and then for this to happen, I thought this was something that would never happen. If Dana White went to anyone, this was the one person who, it didn't matter whether he was under contract or not, he would have stayed. And that's mainly around how much support Eddie gave over and above that he should have done. I think as a promoter, he didn't have to. And to be honest, would it be easier for a promoter to go, that isn't my end of the business? And I don't think it is. I don't think it's on a promoter to defend you for 2 failed drug tests, whether they, they got, in a sense, nothing really happened afterwards, he can fight now, etc., etc. But look, there's 2. It's not 1, it's 2. And that causes controversy. It's never really come out what the reason was. He was then allowed to fight, and it sort of all got taken away from him and allowed to fight straight off the bat again. But that was after a couple of years, you know what I mean? That's after a few years. I think that'll always hang over Conor a bit for some people, for some supporters. But look, to go against Eddie when Eddie's provided that much level, and I can understand, and this is what Conor's come out with, and that's what I want to sort of explain quickly, is Eddie's obviously very hurt, interviews saying, look, I've supported him. Everyone knows that. When he was sort of, all this controversy was happening about 2 failed drug tests, he loaned him money. He loaned him hundreds of thousands of pounds, according to Eddie. This is, do I believe it? I probably do, because it was at least that type of relationship where they both in it together. And look, Eddie supported you through the 2 years when he didn't have to, but again, it's give and take. He needs that. When did he need that? He needed support now. When people are taking his fighters, Dana White's taking fighters or trying to take fighters, that's what he needed. He needed support from his mainstay, his the one guy he could trust not to leave, and he left. I think that's key. I think that's a key problem here, that Eddie went above and beyond for Conor, and Conor didn't do the same for him. And the key thing for Conor was, if you got offered more money, I understand that it's a a sport where you've got to earn the money because you don't know how long you're going to be able to do it for. You're getting hit, you're getting taking damage. That damage can cause you to have a very, very short career in boxing, and so you've got to earn the money while you can. That is for sure. But not every promoter, and not many promoters I've seen ever with a boxer have provided as much support as Eddie Hearn has to Conor Benn, especially in the situation he was in. And I think that's my point. That level of support, it was that's what he needed back. From a Conor point of view, he's come out on interviews as well to get into that. That look, it's a short time boxing professionally. He needs to earn the money now. It's for his family, which totally correct. Very clear, very easy points to make. It is true that it is a short career in boxing. Conor may not ever get the chance to sign for a fight deal worth X amount of millions, and whether anyone could match that anywhere close is the question. But Conor is signed for Dana, and he is right. It's a big amount of money, and he said no one's there for him when he's retired, and there'll always be another Conor Benn for Eddie or any other promoter to sign. But when he's retired, none of them will be round him. Look, the key thing is in that, I would say, is you could have been retired from the real top end of this sport at one point, very, very recently. You could have not retired. You would have still boxed, but you never would have come back and reached the point that you have and earned the millions you already have without one man standing by you and on every interview taking so much stick and standing by that he believed that you didn't do anything to fail these tests. And that is Eddie Hearn. And that is key. I think the fact you've come back from what the failed tests you've had is, in the public eye at least, is down to one guy, and that's Eddie, because he stuck by you and he made sure that no matter what, he was unwavering in his support, no matter how much stick he got day after day from interviewers, from people on social media, from everyone. He got so much stick, and the fact this is happening now, no wonder, no wonder he is so down in interviews and so upset, because look, he's offered everything to this guy and didn't even get a phone call, and just madness, just absolute madness that is the case. Conor's got a point about his family. He may not be here in boxing for very long. Not many boxers are, and the chance to earn that amount of money doesn't come round again. And he's totally correct, but the way it's been handled, I think, is atrocious. From a Conor Benn point of view, look, what we've got to say is, you may never get this money again, but you never would have got the millions that you've already got without Eddie supporting you. If he just left you to go, look, that ain't my problem, you sort your own tests, you sort that own problem. Conor in no way was looking to go into interviews, and for them whole 2 years, the only person speaking about Conor Benn and supporting him still in the public eye was Eddie. And if you lost them 2 years of still being in the media in some way and people knowing your name, in no way would you got the billions you got now, and you'd still be boxing in America and doing shows like that where you're earning next to nothing compared to what your name could and what it does now. And I think that's just atrocious, to be honest. I think that's awful. And to come up with an excuse that it's for your family, it's XYZ, yeah, of course it is, but this guy is really part of your family. He supported you through thick and thin, and you have no way, the first instance when he needed a bit of support, and you knew, publicly, it wasn't like you didn't know he needed support. He needed every bit of support possible, with fighters eyes being turned, XYZ, and a new deal being signed. He needed your support more than ever, and the way this sounds to have been handled is awful. And I think this really burns Eddie. I think he'll be much more. I'm a promoter. You're a fighter now. With most fighters, I don't think he ever gets in this situation again. And look, I think Conor one day will probably regret the decision he's made. To be honest, because I think if anything ever happened now, he'd be hung out to dry. It's not like Dana White Zuffa ever would protect a fighter like that, or do anything. That's not his end. That's not his job. And it wasn't Eddie's. But Eddie went to bat for you for 2 years and took all the crap, to be honest. So I think it's awful. I think this is boxing though. This is what happens in boxing. I think people sign for the most amount of money. And I understand it with other promoters where, look, you're a promoter, you've earned your money, I've earned my money, I can make a decision. But for this type of fight, this is as much like an AJ leaving Eddie. It's even worse than that. I think. I think if AJ left Eddie, it'd be less painful for Eddie, and I think anyone. I think that's just, he went to bat for you. He's done the most he's ever done for any fighter for you, and the instant you get offered some money, you leave. That just, I think that's the mind of most people, I think. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys think in the comments. Yeah, weird, strange times we're living in, and this won't be the last fighter who leaves. Once Conor's gone, I think that gives the green light to any fighter and any promoter to go, look, this is going to be mass migration now to Zuffa, I believe. And look, if I had to guess, I think if I had to guess one fighter who might be going next, Garcia. I think Ryan Garcia and Dana White make a great team, promoter and fighter, and that's the type of fighter he wants and needs. It's Zuffa. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.